confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars.
In September 2025, NASA dropped a bombshell. After keeping everyone waiting for an entire year, they finally confirmed what a robot found sitting in a dried-up Martian riverbed. We might have just discovered the first evidence that something was alive on another planet. So what is going on with Mars right now? And why is everyone losing their minds over a rock? Let me tell you, this story is wild. The discovery at Cheyava Falls. Back in July 24, the Perseverance rover was just doing its thing, rolling through this ancient river valley on Mars. Billions of years ago, this place was completely flooded. We're talking about a lake bigger than some major cities, about 100 feet deep. Now it's just red dust and rocks, but then the rover's cameras caught something weird. There was this funky-looking rock just sitting there, shaped like an arrowhead, covered in reddish stripes with white veins cutting through it. Scientists named it Cheyava Falls after a waterfall in the Grand Canyon because apparently naming rocks is a whole thing at NASA. Scattered all over this rock were these bizarre little marks. Some looked like tiny poppy seeds, others looked exactly like leopard spots. Little light-colored circles with dark rings around them. Nobody had ever seen anything like this on Mars before. The minerals that made scientists freak out. Now, here's where things get spicy. The rover has these fancy instruments that can basically figure out what any rock is made of down to the tiniest detail. When they scanned those leopard spots, they found two specific minerals. One called Vivianite and another called Greigite. And you might be thinking, okay, cool, minerals, who cares? But here's the thing. On Earth, these two minerals show up in very specific situations. Vivianite hangs out near decaying organic stuff. Greigite gets made by bacteria. Finding them both together in this exact pattern is a massive red flag for possible ancient life. The science team was freaking out. The pattern is everything. The pattern is everything. Inside each leopard spot, the rock had been bleached white. The rusty red color got pushed outward from the center. In the middle sat Greigite surrounded by rings of Vivianite. Scientists call this a reaction front. Think of it like ripples in a pond, except made by chemical reactions spreading outward over millions of years. On Earth, this exact same pattern happens when tiny microbes munch on organic matter. They grab electrons from carbon and shove them into the iron around them. This gives the microbes energy while creating these specific minerals as leftovers. The whole process spreads out from wherever the food source was, leaving behind spots that look exactly like what Perseverance found on Mars. The ingredients for life. The rover also picked up organic compounds in this rock along with phosphorus, sulfur, and carbon. These are literally the ingredients for life as we know it. Every living thing on Earth uses these elements for energy. Finding all of them together in a rock that clearly had water running through it at some point is basically hitting the jackpot for anyone searching for alien life. This is the kind of discovery scientists have been dreaming about for decades. Not so fast. The case for caution. But hold up. Before you start planning your welcome party for Martian microbes, scientists are being super careful here. Potential biosignature means something that looks like it could have been made by life, but we can't say for sure yet. There are still some ways this stuff could have formed without any living things involved. High heat can make Vivianite, so can acidic conditions. Some organic chemicals might trigger these reactions without needing actual microbes. The catch is that these rocks show zero evidence of ever getting really hot or being exposed to acid. So those explanations are looking pretty weak right now. Scientists are still scratching their heads trying to figure out if plain old chemistry over billions of years could somehow create this exact mineral setup without any biology. Rewriting the Martian timeline. Here's something that threw everyone for a loop. Scientists always assumed that if we found signs of ancient Martian life, it would be in the really old rocks. This rock is actually from younger layers, only about 2 to 3 billion years old. That means Mars might have been livable way longer than anyone guessed, or maybe conditions got good for life multiple times throughout the planet's history. Either way, our whole timeline for Mars just got rewritten. Surviving the scientific gauntlet. When NASA first showed off this rock back in July 2024, Plenty of scientists rolled their eyes. Extraordinary claims need extraordinary proof, and saying you might have found alien life is about as extraordinary as it gets. So, the Perseverance team had to put their findings through the ringer for an entire year. Scientists from all over the world poked holes in everything. They checked the chemistry, examined the mineral maps, studied the photos, and questioned every single conclusion. The journal Nature finally published the results in September 2025. Getting past those editors is brutal. They reject most papers that come their way. The fact that this research made it through means the scientific community could not find any obvious problems with it. The idea that ancient microbes made these spots has officially survived serious scientific attack. Where we stand on the confidence scale. Nobody's popping champagne yet, though. Some researchers think that slow chemical reactions over geological time might still explain everything. Organic molecules passing electrons to iron bit by bit over billions of years could potentially leave similar marks. We just do not have enough data to completely rule that out. Scientists have this thing called the confidence of life detection scale. It has 7 levels measuring how sure we can be that something's actually evidence of life. The Cheyava Falls rock is sitting at level 1 right now. That means possible signal detected. There are still 6 more levels to climb before anyone will officially say they found ancient Martian organisms. The most complicated robot mission ever attempted. Getting past level 1 means we need way more information, and there's really only one way to get it. Those samples have to come back to Earth. The rover drilled a core from this rock on July 21st, 2024. They nicknamed it Sapphire Canyon. Right now, that little cylinder of Martian rock is sealed up tight in a special tube, just waiting to be picked up. Getting it home is going to be absolutely insane. This isn't like picking up a package from the post office. NASA and the European Space Agency are teaming up for the most complicated robot mission anyone's ever tried. A lander has to touch down on Mars, grab the sample tubes Perseverance has been collecting, and load them onto a rocket. That rocket then has to launch from Mars, which will be the first time anything is ever lifted off from another planet. Think about that for a second. We've never done this before. Then, a separate spacecraft has to catch the samples in Mars's orbit and haul them all the way back to Earth. Current plans say the samples might arrive somewhere between 2035 and 2039. The whole operation will cost billions of dollars. What happens when the samples reach Earth? Once scientists get their hands on Cheyava Falls and actual laboratories here on Earth, everything changes. They'll have access to equipment way more powerful than anything we can strap to a rover. Machines that need tons of electricity, crazy precise calibration, and human hands making constant adjustments. Stuff that's completely impossible to do remotely from millions of miles away. The plan is to try recreating those leopard spots in the lab without using any living things. If they can pull it off, that suggests the Martian features might just be weird chemistry. If they try everything and can't make the spots form without microbes no matter what, that becomes really strong evidence for ancient life. Researchers are already designing experiments using fake Martian rocks. The future of Mars exploration. Even if Cheyava Falls ends up being non-biological, this discovery changes everything about how we explore Mars. Scientists now know exactly what chemical signatures are worth hunting for. Iron phosphate and iron sulfide minerals arranged in reaction patterns just became priority targets. Every future mission can be designed specifically to look for more rocks like this one. The rover is still out there finding cool stuff. Scientists recently identified 16 major drainage systems on Mars that could be promising places to explore next. The longer ancient water flowed through these channels, the more chemical reactions could have happened, the better the chances of finding preserved signs of life. The promise of Martian ice. Some researchers are getting excited about ice. Studies found shallow water ice less than a meter below the surface in certain spots on Mars. You could literally dig it up with a shovel if you were standing there. One region, called Amazonas Planitia, looks especially interesting because the conditions there keep the ice nicely preserved. On Earth, ice is amazing at protecting biomarkers and can even support living microbe communities. Scientists have found bacteria in Antarctic ice that survive for millions of years. If ancient Martian life left any traces behind, frozen ground might be the best place to find them perfectly preserved like a time capsule from billions of years ago. Are we alone? The question that keeps everyone up at night is simple. Are we alone out here? For most of human history, that felt like a question for philosophers and dreamers. Something fun to wonder about, but impossible to actually answer. People have gazed at the night sky for thousands of years asking this exact question. Now we have a rock sample that might tell us. A chunk of 3 billion-year-old Martian mud that could contain fossilized evidence of microscopic organisms from back when Mars was warm and wet, and maybe teeming with tiny creatures. Scientists are playing it cool for now. They're not about to jump to conclusions or make claims they can't back up with solid evidence. Every step of the analysis will be documented and reviewed and challenged by skeptics around the world. That's how science works, especially when the stakes are this high. But even the most cautious researchers are admitting something big is happening here. We found organic molecules on Mars before. We found evidence of ancient water. We found minerals that form in places where life could survive. None of that was enough on its own. This is the first time everything is lined up in a single rock showing a specific pattern that matches what living microbes create on Earth. All the puzzle pieces finally came together in one spot. The most important mission in space exploration. The Mars Sample Return mission just became the most important thing happening in space exploration right now. Getting Sapphire Canyon back to Earth is now the #1 scientific goal for planetary researchers everywhere. Perseverance has collected 27 different rock cores from all over Jezero Crater, plus dirt samples and even sealed Martian air. Each sample tells part of the story, but Sapphire Canyon is special. It holds the best evidence we've ever found that ancient Mars might have had living things crawling around in its mud.